Sympathy or empathy? Two words, two worlds. Have you ever stopped to think about the power of our actions? A simple gesture, a kind word can completely change someone's day. And at the heart of this force, we find sympathy and empathy. Two words that, although similar, carry different and equally important meanings. Sympathy and empathy. What's the difference? Both speak of connection, of caring for others. But while sympathy observes and recognizes the pain of another, empathy seeks to feel it, to put oneself in the shoes of the one who suffers. It's like the difference between admiring a painting and diving headfirst into the story it tells. Understanding this difference is the first step towards a journey of self-knowledge and compassion. After all, by recognizing the emotions of those around us, we open doors to deeper and more meaningful connections. The bridge of understanding. What is empathy? Imagine this. A close friend has just lost someone they loved. The pain is immense. It feels like they can't breathe. Empathy invites us to cross the bridge of understanding and enter this sea of feelings with them. Not to diminish the pain, but to embrace it. Empathy is feeling together. You know, it's putting yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to see the world through their eyes. It's an act of compassion, which requires sensitivity and a genuine desire to understand what the other is going through. Developing empathy is like learning a new language. It takes practice, it takes patience, and above all, listening. You need to silence your own mind to make room for the voice of those who need to speak. A warm hug, unraveling sympathy. If empathy seeks this deep connection, sympathy is like a warm hug on a cold day. It's a gesture of care, of attention to the other. It's recognizing the pain, even without necessarily feeling it the same way. Sympathy shows itself in small gestures, like a sincere smile, a word of comfort, a listening ear. It's a way of showing solidarity, of saying, "Hey, I'm here with you." In an increasingly individualistic world, sympathy is like a lighthouse in the middle of the fog. It's a reminder that we are not alone, that kindness and compassion still exist. Empathy in action, stories that inspire. History is full of moving examples of empathy in action. One of them is the story of Nicholas Winton, an English stockbroker who, on the eve of World War II, organized the rescue of 669 Jewish children from Czechoslovakia. Winton didn't have to do that. He could have simply ignored the suffering of those people. But empathy spoke louder. He put himself in the shoes of those desperate families and decided to act. Another beautiful example is the story of Irena Sendler, a Polish social worker who risked her own life to save more than 2,500 Jewish children from the Warsaw Ghetto. Moved by a deep empathy, she challenged the Nazi regime and became a symbol of courage and compassion. Section 5. Sympathy that transforms, the power of a gesture. And sympathy, with its lightness, also has the power to transform lives. An example of this is the story of a young man who, seeing a homeless man feeling cold, decided to donate his own coat. The simple but compassionate gesture went viral on social media and inspired others to do the same. What started as an individual act turned into a wave of solidarity. This story shows us that sympathy, even in its simplest gestures, can have a huge impact on people's lives. It's a reminder that kindness is contagious and that we can all make a difference. Section 6. Brilliant minds, connected hearts. What do the scholars say? Great names like Carl Rogers and Daniel Goleman have dedicated their lives to understanding the power of empathy and compassion. For Rogers, empathy is the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes, to see the world through their eyes, without judgment. Goleman, author of the book Emotional Intelligence, argues that empathy is one of the pillars of emotional intelligence, fundamental for building healthy and meaningful relationships. Neuroscience has also been dedicated to the subject, discovering that empathy activates areas of the brain linked to compassion and social behavior. In other words, empathy is not just an abstract concept, but a neurological process that connects us to others. Section 7. Sympathy and empathy. Tools for a better world. In an increasingly divided world full of conflict and inequality, sympathy and empathy are essential tools for building a more just and harmonious future. Empathy allows us to break down barriers, break down prejudices, and build bridges with those who are different from us. It is through it that we learn to value diversity and build a more tolerant world. Sympathy, with its simplicity and power of connection, invites us to practice kindness in our daily lives, to lend a hand to our neighbor, and to build a more humane and welcoming world. Section 8. Cultivating Empathy, a dive into the inner ocean. Developing empathy is like tending a garden. It takes care, attention, and patience. It is a constant process of self-knowledge and openness to others. You have to be willing to silence the ego, to look inside yourself and recognize your own emotions. Meditation, for example, can be a powerful tool for cultivating empathy. By stilling the mind and connecting with the present moment, we create space to embrace emotions, both our own and those of others. Another way to develop empathy is through art. Literature, cinema, music transport us to other worlds, put us in the shoes of the characters, and invite us to experience their joys and sorrows. Section 9. A call to action, spreading seeds of sympathy and empathy. How about we transform the world into a kinder, more compassionate place? Start with simple gestures, a smile to a stranger, a word of comfort to a friend, a listening ear to those who need to vent. Share inspiring stories of empathy and sympathy. Be an agent of good deeds. Encourage those around you to practice kindness and compassion. Remember, the change we want to see in the world starts with each one of us. Let's spread seeds of sympathy and empathy wherever we go. The world thanks you. After all, how is your mind today?